Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Celeste. We find ourselves back here in the old site. Not because there's anything we forgot or that there's more left to explore, but I want to talk some mechanics. Well, first of all, you can see right here an upwards dash jump. All we need to do to execute that is dash upwards, have a wall next to us, and press jump. This allows us to go really high. And what you need to realize about this is that the game doesn't make you collect power-ups to achieve this, or level up. You just have that move right from the start, you just don't know it. The game teaches it eventually, but not until the post-game. So the important bit here is the game doesn't make you interact with it, unless you really want to. But that is not all. Because what I want to do here is crack the game open just a little bit. What I'm going to cover now are mechanics that you're supposed to figure out on your own in part, and in part something that you got taught in the very last challenge of the game. No kidding here. Well, upwards dash jumping we already covered, but you can do the same thing, just, dashing straight ahead and then jumping immediately. It works the exact same way. You can actually vary the height and the distance of these jumps by varying your button presses, like here. It even looks like it's going faster, but really it's not really faster. What is faster, however, is that next move we're gonna do. Because this is something the game only really teaches in the final post-game challenge. And, it's good stuff. Instead of just dashing forward and jumping, you press diagonally forward, down, dash, and then jump. This goes much farther than a regular dash jump. It's also faster and is more shallow. So it's, for one, good of course for going faster. You can bunny hop with it and everything. You can do it with a normal dash jump too, but it's way more obvious here. But really, the shallowness of the jump is where it's the most useful, because where previously, if you had like an obstacle that is somewhat too high, you just, get hung up on that and probably die. Now you can just dash jump underneath it. Now of course dash jumping makes it so we can't use another dash in the air because we've already used it on the ground. But what if I told you there is a way to play around with that a little bit? Let's first check out what happens to Madeline when she dashes. As you can see here, her hair turns white when she dashes, before it turns red again. Now, once it's fully white, well, you have your dash back. That's the important part. So let's just learn how to time that properly, right? It's not that hard. All you gotta do is just, get a feel for it. And you'll be able to have your hair red again when you dash jump. Like so. You just need to delay the jump a little bit. Of course, if you wait for too long, you won't get the momentum, but ideally, you get another dash. This allows you to pull off some crazy maneuvers. Also cover a lot of distance without touching the ground. Now let's actually go a bit further though, because that's not all there is to it. Let's just assume for a moment that you don't have a lot of space to your disposal as you try to do one of those dash jumps. Well, what you can do is just dash diagonally into the ground, like so. And even with just little space, you will be able to execute a long dash jump while also getting your dash back. But that still isn't all there is to it. Because let's just say, well, there's a wall next to you and that's all there is. You don't have space to actually do a dash into the ground. Well, see, you could just dash into the wall. And then, as you do that, well, you just turn around at the last second. Knowing all this allows you to do some crazy tricks from a lot of really weird positions. And no doubt we will find applications for that over the course of the run, but first of all, just go to the next room and I will show you just how powerful a long dash jump is that still allows you to dash afterwards. If you've watched the speedrun segment of the last chapter, you will have seen this already. What you won't have seen is that next bit, because as I commented in the run, I messed that one up. But let's see what it's supposed to look like. Because see what I did in the speedrun, because I messed up slightly, I was only able to really skip that first block and climb up the middle block, then jump down, get a diamond, and dash up. Well, this is what I meant to do. Maintain your dash after dash jump, by the way, that's not something the game teaches you, that's just something you have to figure out. And the game already expects you to find creative uses for the regular mechanics. Now, with this power at your disposal, this knowledge, just imagine all the creative solutions to get through rooms. But that's my mechanics talk for now. Let's just head into Chapter 3. Okay, so these moving guys here, they are the gimmick of this level. They are on a screen cycle, not on a global cycle, thankfully, otherwise it would be a real pain in the ass. But that's the gimmick, and it will be used to great effect. Not sure I like it, I don't, but, you know. Let's get that strawberry first. You can actually get it that way, but that's not what you're expected to do. So let's do it the proper way, more or less. Yep, you're supposed to use the screen transition here. Now, this is the first time the game actually expects you to do that, aside from, of course, the crystal heart of the previous chapter. And here again you could do this, but let's do it the expected way first, right? And this level does a neat thing, where it shows you places you can go to eventually, like the strawberry up there. But you can't get there now. This chapter is a serious ramp up in difficulty. The fact that you need to, you know, time your jumps more due to the enemies here that are on a cycle is a pretty big reason of it. This chapter in general is probably the one I die the most whenever I attempt, like, you know, anything, be it a speedrun or just a casual playthrough. This is also one of the levels with the most elaborate secrets. This entire wing we're exploring right now is completely optional. And once more, we're shown a place we can't go to yet. This is not until much later in the chapter. And here we go. This is that strawberries are from the outside. And we're already making some use of the mechanics that I've explained at the start of the video. I'm not gonna go too overboard with it though, that's reserved for the speedruns. And of course, yes, all we had to do from the start was collect this key, instead of, you know, exploring that optional bit of the resort. But that's part of what's so great about this level, but also part of what makes it so long. Just look at the video time. And for once we are introduced to two new gimmicks in one screen. There's these walls with the worms, and you can only touch each tile once. The same can also apply to the ground. But basically, yeah, you're not allowed to touch each tile more than once, otherwise you'll die. And then there's these lowering platforms that, you know, you figured out what they do, right? They go lower. They also go down faster if you press down. The same actually applies to you just being in the air. If you do that, you kind of get stretched and you fall faster. And just to make sure you really understand how these wormy walls work, they present you with a winged strawberry here that you're encouraged to get. Oh, looky there, another door. And the key's right there, but we can't access it, so you gotta take a detour. By the way, every time you see me die in this chapter, there's a chance that I died more than once. I just cut out repeat deaths for the sake of the flow. But you'll see my death count at the end of the video. It's not as high as the first time I cleared this level, of course, but you can see I'm not very smart sometimes. And this can be a devious strawberry. Well, the thing with strawberries is that once you touch safe ground again, you get it. So you don't actually have to leave the room again to actually, you know, get your reward. But the thing is, you can usually do that. With these one-time touch walls, though, you sometimes have to really pay attention and carefully plan your route. This next part of the level is called The Big Mess by pretty much everybody, and you might be able to guess why. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of clutter. And that is not just this room, it is actually in most of the rooms we're about to traverse, like right here. And it's a job to clean this mess up eventually, but hey, for now, let's just explore this room here a bit. And this here is a rather interesting secret, because there's a computer in this room and we can use it. This is the original version of Celeste that was made for some game jam on a like kind of fantasy console called Pico 8. And all the basic building blocks are here. You can jump, you can dash. It's like the game in principle is there. It's just very different. Like you can't cling to walls, which is also pretty part of Celeste, and you can't use a lot of the advanced movement mechanics that I've explained inside of this video. But at its heart, it is still Celeste. It is in fact called Celeste. Crazy, huh? And this room in particular here actually is pretty similar to a room in the full game in the first chapter, which is also the introduction to winged strawberries. Now I won't play through the full game, just a few screens, but if you really want to see the full version of this game, well, this Celeste Classic prototype type deal, I will link it in the description and also in the threads, so you can actually play through it. If you finish it in Celeste, you actually like get the option to access this version of Celeste from the title screen. But that's not something I plan on doing. Really, if you want to see it, just play it yourself. Let us first navigate through this big mess. You can see there's blocked off paths here. Those aren't these dream blocks you can dash through, they're just, you know, blocks. So we've just been shown that 3 paths is opened, and we can access them in any order we want. Now our job here is to clean up this mess. You see there's books, there's crates, and there's laundry. Now, what you need to understand is, depending on the order you go through these paths, part of this will disappear, changing how exactly, you know, the level plays. Just imagine, say, all the books being gone here, or the crates. It just drastically changes the way you have to traverse the level. Sometimes it makes stuff easier, sometimes harder. And that is how we clean stuff out. Wouldn't it be nice if cleaning your house was that easy? Just dash into some blob with, like, whatever it is you want to clean up inside it? Well, it's not that simple in real life, unfortunately, but you know. So path we just explored remains locked off now, so we can't just go back and collect stuff we missed. Now thankfully the order you clear them in doesn't really affect the strawberries you can get. It does however make some stuff easier or harder, as already pointed out. And this is one of these rooms that really make you think a little bit about where you go. Because the floor will kill you if you touch it more than once. And it doesn't count as safe floor even if it doesn't damage you yet, so you have to actually carry the strawberry all the way to the entrance. And with that, we've cleaned out all the crates. Now all that's left is the laundry. Alright, so you see that up there? That's right, we can go there, but, well, it is locked off, and we still have to remove the laundry, so There has to be some way to get back here after you've done that. But let's not worry about that for now. This is a devious strawberry. It makes you actually dash and catch it on the escape. Now the laundry is gone. And you know, there has to be a way to actually get back, right? So... Yep. And now we get to go through this part of the level without any of the clutter that would otherwise make our traversal much easier. But hey, you know, we're good enough at the video game. Alright now, we've already seen what's up here. It's a crystal heart, it's just there was no way for us to actually reach it. But there we have it, the crystal heart of the Celestial Resort. There's one more thing we can collect, because previously there was a lot of clutter here, and now there's none. I like to forget this strawberry. I just love how Madeline gets more and more annoyed with Oshiro. It's really great voice acting. You know, Theo probably has the right idea here. It looks like Madeline's mind is set. This chapter in general has a lot of NPC interactions, way more than any chapter before or after. There's not only strawberries where you have to look out, you know, what part of the ground you touch. I kinda like these, you know, let's just call them puzzles. Going through here would be much easier if Oshira's fears and doubts or whatever it is wouldn't manifest in these like dark black and red goo blobs. But oh well. And this is one of the hardest strawberries in the level. Doesn't look like much, but this took me way more tries than I'm willing to admit. And another one of those times where you get to see a room that we don't have access to, but this time it's one we've explored already. And this is another deviously hard strawberry. But it's not the only one in the room. There's another one there to the left. And we've already been there too. So previously we could see parts we hadn't seen yet, we can now see parts that we've already explored, which is also a nice touch. And what you can do is just press start and retry and you will get the key and be at the side of the room. But that would mean we don't get this B-side here. Well, looks like Oshiro never left. Which I'm sure is creepy in some way. Well, looks like we're being chased again. But this time it is not our own shadow that mimics our exact movements, but it is a ghost. And that ghost, you know, it just tries to match our height and then charge at us. This can be used to our advantage too, because we can Goomba Stomp him. Which of course counts as touching the ground or touching things with both feet. So we get a dash back. You don't have to do this except if you want some of the strawberries though. A lot of the time you just have to play in a way that matches Oshiro's cycle here so you don't get killed. Much like the chase with our own shadow, this can get very intense if you don't know the level layout yet. But when in doubt, it's best to just take your time rather than rush it. And that is chapter 3. Let's tally up once more, just to make sure we have everything. Because we're gonna miss something one of these days. And wow, 40 deaths. You only saw like a fraction of that. But yeah, we got everything. And next up there is Chapter 4, the Golden Ridge. But for now, let's just see how this level looks done fast. The world record for this particular level is 5 minutes 11 seconds. That is much faster than what I'm able to do. Because I will be 7 minutes something, like between 7 and 8 minutes. But still, it's much faster than what we just did, and probably much faster than what I would have been able to do after just having, you know, beaten the game once. And I doubt that you could do much better either, unless you were really good at the game. But that's not my point here. My point really is kind of that the thing with speedrunning is that a lot of the time the only real visible runners are the top runners. Because of course it's much more interesting to watch the best in the world and see them tear the game apart and maybe get a new world record. That's exciting, right? But a lot of people, I feel, are deterred from the hobby by just, you know, having to compare themselves with those people who are just really good at the game. And don't get me wrong, the point is to be really good at the game, because you want to go fast, and to do that you exploit a lot of, you know, mechanics in ways that weren't intended, and you break the level design apart at times. But still, there's different levels, basically. Like, I could have just done a dash jump there and gone under there, but I didn't. If it was smarter at the time, I would have probably done that. It's things like these, though. Sometimes you have the mechanical skills to pull something off, but you don't know you can do it. Like, I've probably forgotten that moment. And that's really a pretty big part of what sets apart the different skill levels of speedrunners. I mean, I wouldn't even describe myself as a speedrunner, is the thing. Even though I run this game with speed in mind, which technically makes me exactly that. And I think it's really fun to play through this game really fast. Because, I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to play through the game for the first time and get a 125 hours time for the entire game, and then the next time get closer to 1 hour, and then eventually go under 1 hour. That was my first big goal, and it was really fun to, you know, get better gradually to do that. What I also want to mention is that this game seems to be a really popular speed game. Like, just looking at how many runs it has, or even how many runners, it has more than games like Super Mario Bros. 3. And I think part of that reasoning is that this game really encourages you to, you know, push the limits. I pointed out in the past that you learn new mechanics in the post-game that you never had to use playing through the game normally, but all of a sudden the game says, "Yup, okay, you can do this, now do it. Have fun." And these are actually pretty much all mechanics that allow you to go faster, in addition to traversing completely new obstacles. So ideally, you'll do just that. You'll attempt to go through the game faster, and if you've played through this game before, I really encourage you to just try. Play through the entire game and try to go fast. Again, my first time was 1 hour 25 minutes, and I think my third or fourth run finally brought me under 1 hour. So I didn't really practice any for the first run. I just kind of did it, because I want to see, okay, how fast can I do this? Yep, here you see me die a lot, that's the thing. This is one of these levels where I really, like, it's really difficult, for me at least, to come up with strategies to go through the rooms fast without dying. Mainly because there's these little, you know, goo blobs that are on a cycle. Which means your timing has to be on point. Not just that, if you die once, you respawn in a slightly different location, which means that even though the cycle is the same as the first time around, it affects you differently. Hey, look at that. I think for the main run, when we finally had that key, we clocked in at around 20 minutes, over 20 minutes for the level as a whole. And now we're just under 5. But still, you can see already we're not gonna make world record. I mean, duh. Because 5:11? That's a ridiculously good time. Again, it's worth mentioning that the individual level leaderboard for this level in particular only has 2 submissions. A lot of people probably didn't even submit their records, because full game runs is where most of the fun is at for most people apparently. And even though they could technically submit their ILs if they felt like it, most people probably just don't. And see, the thing is, I knew a strategy to go through this room really fast, but for some reason it didn't work. And on the second try, well, the magic was gone, because it didn't respawn the same way and couldn't keep momentum from the previous screen. The way I play through this room is basically the exact same way when I play through the game normally, by the way. And it's not much different for like actual, like really skilled speedrunners, I don't think. It's just all down to just executing that bit perfectly. And this chase here is the bane of my existence, actually. Because there's parts where at least I have to willfully slow myself down in order to not get hit by Oshiro's charge. Like here. It's infuriating, and then I die anyway. But you know, with a bit of practice, I could probably do much better here. Don't get me wrong, I already practiced a bit just for this run. But if I actually put more of an effort into, like, nailing some of the tougher strategies, you know, I could be much faster. And maybe eventually I will be, because my plan from the start was to speedrun the first level for the LP and then just leave it there and not do any of the others. But instead wait until the full game is complete and then go for a full game speedrun. And so now we'll see all of the ILs, or individual levels as they call it. And then I'll do a full game speedrun anyway. $7.41. Now just seeing how much I died here, I could have probably shaved off at least a full minute by just not dying as much. But still, it was a fun run. Not too bad a time. So for now, let's just say goodbye and see you again next time when we go through Chapter 4, The Golden Ridge. It's one of my favorites. See ya.